All right, all right, all right. We had, Michigan, you said there were about 39 registrations for tonight. Is that right?
No, I think it was about
22.
22.
Okay. So if you guys don't mind, give me just about 30 more seconds here. Let's see if we get a few more folks to join in. I see some others joining us now.
And Zane, I'll go ahead and preface because there was a question, and uh, I mentioned it before when there were a couple people, but now that there's more people, I'll mention the Zoom is set up as a webinar format. So if you have any questions as to why we can't hear you or see you, that's why. And as to why the chat is disabled, there is a Q&A feature that we encourage you to use if you have questions. Almudena and I will be answering those in the chat as Azania is presenting, and then at the end we'll have time to read those out to Azania to answer those verbally for you. So if there are any questions on that, that is the format of the presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for that explanation. And I'm Azania Heron. I'm a part of the Beyond Open program team. Thank you for joining us tonight, for taking the initiative to sign up to want to learn more about the Beyond Open funding grant opportunity. This is a program on behalf or led by, let's see here, this is those of you who were early, you knew we had some technical challenges. Okay, so this is a little bit different than how I typically planned on sliding through this. This is led by Foundation for the Carolinas. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the organization, but it is a local foundation based here in the Carolinas that's dedicated to working with philanthropists to allocate dollars and working with community partners to do good work in the community. Foundation for the Carolinas was gifted $20 million from Wells Fargo as a part of the Open for Business Fund. You may or may not be familiar. This came about in 2019. The Wells Fargo received a couple $100 million that they have through pandemic relief that they have been distributing since that time. And most recently, back in 2021, they distributed $20 million to Charlotte by way of the Foundation for the Carolinas, as well as 5 other cities in the country. Those other cities include Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles, and Miami, that these dollars were given to be able to support diverse small business owners. The vision and plan for Beyond Open is to help diverse small business owners to grow their businesses, build their wealth, and expand economic mobility in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And so throughout this overview, I'll share a little bit more about that. I'll discuss eligibility, possible ways that grant funding may be used, and the cycle to be able to begin your application process. And if you have any questions along the way before submitting it. To dive a little bit further into the goals, and actually to take a step back, I mentioned from the program team, I should share everyone who's here as panelists, the individuals that you do see. I'm Azania Heron. I've been given the opportunity to help to lead the communications and community outreach for this program, as well as supporting the program as a whole. This program kicked off this year. It will run through 2024. And there are 2 other panelists here with me. Ishmael, who I call Ish for short. He's handling lots of logistics for us. He'll be helping with the Q&A. And we also have Almudena, who is here. She's a part of the application design team, and she'll be supporting us throughout our Q&A as well. So those, oh, go ahead. Almudena, I saw it came off of mute.
No, I was just gonna, thank you, since no one can see me, but
normally you see us all, but we had some technical issues, so one member had to sacrifice for the other. But thank you. So the 3 objectives, again, 3 goals rather, for Beyond Open is to really build wealth among diverse small business owners through access to capital and investments that are going to help you to grow and scale your business. Examples of these may include storefronts, equipment, and technology, things that you need to grow your business that you may possibly have had to go into debt if you've not received funding from a program such as this. So that's something to think about with your application. We're also looking to change the narrative around business ownership and access to capitals and pathways to wealth creation. As we know, communities of color those who are women, those who identify as LGBTQ, veterans have all faced obstacles in business ownership, and sometimes access to capital is restricted or limited or challenging to attain due to just, red tape and other obstacles if you were to pursue, for example, loan or just some other means of credit to be able to grow your business. And so we really want to celebrate the hard work of diverse small business owners and drive opportunities for wealth creation. Lastly, the Beyond Open program is seeking to create a direct benefit and model our visions and outcomes. If we're saying we're supporting diverse small business owners, this program seeks to do the same. And so that's where you have, we have a team of individuals from Foundation for the Carolinas. Ishmael works for Foundation for the Carolinas. Almudena and I are both contractors that are hired to support this program. And similarly, we have engaged in the same sort of efforts when it seeks to our graphic design, printing our materials and collateral, which companies we choose to work with, where we're purchasing swag and materials and giveaways, down to placing advertisements in niche minority-owned publications, to the venues that we decide to host events in, and food that we may purchase for these actual events. Again, we really want to model demonstrating supporting diverse small business owners. Moving on, eligibility. This is a big question. Are you even eligible to apply? Is this program meant for me? The first criteria is that the owner of the business must be diverse, and diverse is defined as a minority, a woman, veteran, or LGBTQ small business owner. Your business must be located in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. This is a larger region. We have, Union County. There are outlying places. This program is designed, the funds from Wells Fargo are for Charlotte-Mecklenburg. So if you are not registered and actively operating in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, this unfortunately would not be a program for you. If you are based in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, this is for you. Third priority, you heard me speak a little bit around economic mobility. So we're looking to grow wealth for the business owners, but also looking to make an impact in our community in an economic way. And that being said, there is priority for this program that will be given to businesses that are located in, close to, or have substantial business activity within one of the 6 corridors of opportunity. If you're not familiar with that term, there'll be a slide that I'll be turning to that will give you a visual of that. They are essentially 6 pockets, if you will, across Charlotte that the city of Charlotte has identified for more opportunity for economic investments. It's been identified that not as much has been poured into these communities, which lead to several other challenges and obstacles. And so priority for this program supports the city's larger initiative to drive growth in each of these corridors. So if you are located in any one of them, that will add to your application. The last criteria, we kind of touch on it in one, as far as a small business is defined by the federal government. So that's anywhere from 1, if you're a self-employed sole proprietor, to having a team up to 499 employees. So this is again for small diverse business owners from 1 to up to 499 employees. These are the corridors that I just spoke to. This is a map. Isn't it beautiful? It's a map from the City of Charlotte's website that breaks down an overview and a visual of these 6 corridors. They include Albemarle Road, Central Avenue, Beatties Ford, Brazos Ferry, Freedom Drive and Wilkinson Boulevard, Graham and North Tryon Streets, Sugar Creek Road and I-85, as well as West Boulevard. Again, I want to be clear, some people have felt like I'm not in this directly in this corridor, or I'm in the corner, like right outside the block of that highlighted area. Am I eligible? Yes, you are. Again, if you're located in, close to, and have substantial business activity in any of them, there will be additional priority given to your application, but anyone within Charlotte-Mecklenburg, any diverse small business owner within Charlotte-Mecklenburg is eligible to apply. A little bit about the grants. So, what can you get? The grant amounts range from $5,000 up to $250,000. And you guys may notice that there's $250,000 plus even at the end. That is designed intentionally if and when for some reason there is a capital asset and you can make the case that happens to be a little bit outside of the lines of 250 million or 50,000, sorry, 250,000, let us know. But ideally, these are three categories that our Beyond Open program team, as well as advisors to the program team, thought would be most beneficial for current scenarios of small business owners when we think about building wealth. What you'll notice, or something to share around each of these categories, these are examples, is what I should say. These are examples of capital assets that you may need. Examples could include computers, printers, office equipment, cell phones, office furnishing, tools for your business, minor store renovations, up to, if we go to the larger grant categories, larger store renovations. You may be seeking a project where you're looking to change the space if you have a brick and mortar. If you're looking for a particular software or technology that can be acquired and purchased, not subscription-based, but acquired and purchased, that would be an asset that could really help to make a difference for your business and you being able to do more and to scale and to grow. If you are seeking to build out an e-commerce website, that is there. If you happen to have a business that requires a vehicle, and you need to replace the vehicle or vehicle repairs, those are eligible. These could be storefront signage, the actual brick and mortar, to even purchasing a warehouse if you happen to have an inventory that you need major space for. We know that ownership of your property can be significant to one's wealth and opportunity for growth. So that's an option. It could be acquiring major technology, switching over to renewable energy sources, repaving the surface lots. Think of things that would require financing or significant funding that you would need to help you to grow and scale your business. And again, it couldn't be debt repayment. It cannot be operational costs such as consultants, marketing, advertising, or staffing, things along those lines, but the assets that you would need to grow and scale your business. And these are the three categories. Again, build for success, grow for prosperity, or to make bold moves. And one of the things I'll share about this is it was really important for the program team to provide funding for unique business needs. And so there may be a smaller business that, $20K is going to make a really big difference for you, and another that's at another scale that is probably going to need $100,000. And so we didn't want to rule anyone out by way of saying that this grant program is too small or too large for you. I would encourage you to apply for the funding that is most appropriate for your need. One of the questions we've had from individuals is if they ask for a certain amount and we think that that's too much, will they get bumped down or something along those lines? No, if you apply for a Grow for Prosperity grant, you will want to answer the questions and provide documentation that's needed for that grant and that grant only. If you don't believe that you're really eligible for that and that you may need something less, then you would want to submit your application under Build for Success. Just want to clarify that. As I mentioned, what can it be used for? Capital assets, real estate, technology, equipment, inventory. It cannot be used for, again, those operating expenses such as payroll, utilities, advertising, consultant, or debt repayment. Oh, and I should say they do not need to be repaid. Just to be clear, so that this is not a loan program. This is grant funding. It does not require repayment. Again, in designing the program so that it works well for diverse small business owners, we did not want anyone to feel like, this is just too much. This is another program. There's lots of paperwork, there's challenges, there's red tape. I can't get through to it. And so for the smaller category under Build for Success of $5,000 to $20,000, the only required documentation are 2 reference letters. This is a chart to show you what is required as well as what may be encouraged. If you do not see any dot within that chart, that item is not required. It's not encouraged. It's not needed for that category. Build for Success. So for example, you'll need 2 reference letters, but say you happen to have a registered business with the North Carolina Secretary of State. If you do have an EIN in that registration, we encourage you, please contribute that to your application, but it is not required. As we move up to each tier, growing for prosperity or making bold moves, you will see that additional documentation is required for your application. But if you do not have it, we don't want you to feel like, oh, this is a lost cause, let me walk away. We have built-in community partner organizations that are ready and willing and able to support you to get the documentation that you need for this application. These include Aspire Community Capital, Prospera, and the Women's Business Center of Charlotte. These are small business organizations that have been in existence separate from this program. They already are plugged in and working directly with small business owners, and they're prepared and ready to help you to grow and scale your business. So not only will they help you if you have some challenges to be able to gather the paperwork that you need for this application, but look at this as an opportunity to position your business for growth in general, for this opportunity and others in the future. Again, that's Aspire, Prospera, and the Women's Business Center of Charlotte. You can find these organizations' contact information under the support tab on our website at beyondopencot.com, which I imagine you've probably already visited if you're in on this call tonight. The actual schedule. So applications went live on September the 28th. So that was a big day. Like you can begin to log in, set up your account, and begin your online application. That cycle will run until October the 28th at 5 p.m. We know as diverse small business owners, business owner in general, and a small business owner, there's a lot that you're doing. You're busy, you're trying to get through what you need to do for the day. I just personally encourage you. I've been a person who's waited till the final hour. Didn't go over so well. It's stressful. Your application is not going to be as strong. And so I encourage you to start it sooner than later. One of the great things about the application process is you can go in and start and save it and come back later. So, and that actually may be helpful for you to review and understand all that you need to answer and provide, and then to be able to pull all of your things together to build a strong, to complete a strong application. So again, they're open now on the website beyondopencot.com, and you may apply up until 5 p.m. on October the 28th. Thereafter, once the applications are reviewed, participants or applicants rather will be notified in mid to late November. So you will hear whether or not you will be awarded a grant, and the funding will be distributed by December 30th of this year in 2022. I may have mentioned earlier at the top of this call that the program runs through 2024. To note, that means we're going to have round 1, round 2, and round 3 of applications. So we're currently in round 1, meaning this is the first time you may apply for Beyond Open funding. We will be launching round 2 next year. And so that's where you will hear more information about that in Q1 of 2023. And then we will lastly launch round 3. What's interesting to know about that is whether you receive an award or not this time around, you are open and you are able to rather apply again in round 2 and round 3. So you'll want to follow this program all the way through from today through 2024. As I mentioned, when we thought about in this program design, this grant opportunity, this was not done in silo by Foundation for the Carolinas. The organization thought it really important to build this with the voices and understanding of individuals in our community that's plugged into the diverse small business owner world, right? They work directly with you, they represent you. And so these were advisors to be able to say that we should set up the program the way in which we did, to not have many micro grants, for example, or to not have grant amounts that are too large and not appropriate for someone who needs a smaller asset. These include individuals from Historic West End Partners, Prospera, the Latin American Chamber of Commerce, Wells Fargo themselves, Manolo's Bakery. We have an in-person meeting taking place at his bakery tomorrow, drop-in style, Veterans Bridge Homes, Carolina's Asian American Chamber of Commerce. And I won't read these off to you guys, but there's a really diverse set of individuals, and many who are plugged in specifically to small business owners building capital, right? Growing and scaling their business, as well as small business owners who could say, let me tell you, as a small business owner, these are my challenges, these are my obstacles, these are my opportunities. This is what will really help me to grow and scale my business, which help to influence the examples that you see listed as the potential opportunities for funding. Lastly, I will share that some of these, I'll move on from that. I think I'm good there. For outreach, you guys, thankfully, you got to the website, you saw an opportunity to attend a meeting. We're looking to reach as many diverse small business owners as possible. We would hate it to be the case that someone says, I had no idea. I didn't know I can go after that funding. It would have been great for me. I was totally eligible and I just didn't know. And so we're doing all the things. We have in-person meetings, we have virtual meetings. There are postcard mailers that will be going out to household and businesses specifically within the 6 corridors of opportunity. We're doing door-to-door outreach and canvassing to business owners, again, in those 6 corridors. We're doing paid media, so there are advertisements placed in many local publications. We're doing earned media. We had a launch event on September the 28th that secured some earned media. I'll be continuing to reach out to local publications to get them to cover stories so that folks are aware, so that you know that this funding opportunity is available. And as mentioned, you guys saw the website. We are on Instagram and Facebook currently. We should eventually get to LinkedIn. And we'll be pushing out some more content on those channels as well. And again, this is a 3-year cycle. And so please do follow those channels so that you can stay updated for round 2, round 3, and so forth. And you can hear announcements along the way. I should also admit, it's right there in the middle. Not only these very diverse tactics, but we are looking to ensure that language is not a barrier. For example, Charlotte-Mecklenburg has grown a great deal when we talk about diversity. And so while English is the first and primary language, there's a significant population of individuals that speak Spanish as well as Vietnamese when we think about some of the corridors of opportunity. And so all of our collateral is not only in English, but also in Spanish and in Vietnamese, and even the website. For some reason, if you are Spanish speaking or Vietnamese speaking, there is an option to change the language on the website and read it in your first native language, just for comfortability and better comprehension. And then furthermore, if you are aware, if there is a language barrier for you or someone that you are aware of, we have a system built in where we can translate any of our materials, our flyers, and the application process for individuals in the country in a language that works best for them. So please let us know. We want to be sure that we're reaching everyone where they are and are not creating a barrier, an obstacle. This is examples you'll see in a lot of our material. We've been very intentional in wanting to reflect diverse individuals so that this feels like you. We look forward to, once we have award grant recipients, to being able to even beef up some of this collateral with some of your faces, diverse small business owners across Charlotte-Mecklenburg, for those of you who are willing to participate in that way. But you'll see different genders, different professions, different trades reflected throughout our collateral, and again, in multi-languages. These are a list of our in-person and online events, which again, you guys are aware of because you're here with us now. There's an FAQ page. I'm going to be wrapping up here and we can transition to questions and answers, but there are also many frequently asked questions that are currently on our website that you can go and check out at beyondopenclt.com. We are updating those if we find that we're receiving multiple questions, the same question multiple times is what I should say, to be sure that we're being as clear as possible with everyone. You will also, I'll jump ahead to that. Well, I'll take a step back. In case someone's interested, I did not speak to nonprofits, but nonprofits are eligible for this program, but it is a little bit different. And it's different because it's really, again, this program is designed to help small business owners to grow their wealth and to improve economic mobility across Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And so that being said, nonprofits, it's a nonprofit, start there. But if you have a nonprofit that is dedicated, that's based in Charlotte-Mecklenburg and that's committed to economic development for others, there may be a case where you're really able to show that by obtaining certain assets, capital asset, you are able to help to spur to spur growth, right? To spur wealth and economic development in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. The caveat there, though, is that for a nonprofit, there's not an owner per se. So the executive director must be BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, a person of color. And the board of directors must be majorly BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, person of color. So the criteria is a bit different for nonprofits. And I encourage you, if you are one and you are interested, to go to the website under the FAQ to read more, where we share much more additional details for a nonprofit application. These are, again, some of our flyers, which are online. We encourage you, there are digital formats that you can share with others, posters and banners that you will see at some of our in-person events. The direct mailers that I mentioned are going out, and then again, following us on social media. And we can now open it up for any questions that you might have.
All right. Almudena and I have been able to go ahead and answer what has been in the question and answer queue, but I think it'll be a good idea to just revisit the questions that have been asked. And you just touched upon the specifics of the nonprofit aspect, which was a question that was asked and answered as well. So I wanted to acknowledge that that question has been asked, but we're going to go through the other ones here too. And I think sometimes, it is good to touch base on things again, just so there's an understanding there. So we just went over the nonprofits. I know Corey had asked that question. So our next question comes from Eugene Johnson. He asks, if our business has one employee, is home-based, and has been in business for over 20 years, can we still apply for the Build for Success grant funds, as we are not wanting to expand out bigger at this time, but are in need of funds?
Yeah, can you repeat that again? So they said they've been in business for 20 years.
They've been in business for 20 years and are looking to apply for the Build for Success funds. They're not looking to expand at this time, but are in need of the funds. And I can share my answer as well. I responded saying that yes, you can apply for Build for Success fund. It is not contingent on how long you've been in business. It's not even necessarily contingent. I mean, we are trying to emphasize build wealth, but in terms of expansion, especially with Build for Success, it's not necessarily contingent on that. It's mainly dependent on the amount of the asset that you're looking for, and then based on that, it will determine the paperwork required.
That's yeah, I think that's a great answer.
All right. The next question comes from Calvin, who asks, if you do not have a physical business building in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, but your business address is in Mecklenburg County, and you're looking for a building in the areas on the map, are you eligible?
Yes. So as mentioned, as long as your business is in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, you are eligible. Priority will be given to those 6 corridors, but you do not have to reside in the 6 corridors of opportunity. So yes, you would be eligible.
Corey asks, will starting and building a youth center as a nonprofit be considered building wealth? And this would be located in one of the key areas or corridors. That
sounds to me like it would be a nonprofit, is what I think, Corey. I mean, I could be assuming, but every youth center that I've known, yeah, it does say that. As a nonprofit, yeah. It does say that. I see that now. Yeah, so I would encourage you, Corey, to, as I mentioned, go to that FAQ page and just read the additional details for a nonprofit to apply.
Excellent. I'm actually going to put in the FAQ link in the response as well for him.
Great, thank you. I see, while you're doing that, I see a question around, will the grants be paid out in a lump sum over the course of time? The grant amount that you apply for would be dispersed as one payment. And again, that's before December 30th of this year. I see something around subscription. And Almudena, I'll respond to this, but I would certainly love your response. From my understanding, we're looking for an opportunity to purchase the technology, and some are subscription based, but that wouldn't technically be an asset, because you wouldn't then be able to own it. And so we're looking for, if there's a way for you to purchase the actual technology, that would be eligible. But a subscription, from my understanding, is not. Is that correct, Almudena?
That is correct. Completely agree with your answer.
Great.
You see our
Okay.
next question is from Talia Sweeney. It says, do businesses that only offer services or virtual services qualify for services?
Yes, you do, Talia. That's a great question. You are eligible. If you are a business, we understand that business outcomes look different, but if there is an asset that can be purchased for you to deliver on your virtual services, you are eligible to apply. Oh, I think I want Almudena to chime in on this one. So I see the next question. Can funds be used for a down payment on a construction loan for a new medical building versus being used for actual upfit or build out?
Yes, so as long as you're moving into a new location or expanding, right, you can use the funds to either purchase or help lease a new space. But the funds cannot be used to pay, for example, ongoing rent or your current mortgage, right? So it has to be something new and an expansion.
Great, thank you,
And
Almudena.
then going back to, just to clarify the question before about the software. So it's important to think about this, you know, they need to be assets that can be capitalized. So having said this, software is an asset, and when you purchase it, you can capitalize it, but the ongoing subscription, you know, that you pay either monthly or yearly, those fees, you know, for accounting purposes need to be expensed and thus won't fall under this grant program.
I appreciate that additional context as well. Will proof of how the funds granted to a business need to be documented for a certain time period and given to the program according? So the Foundation for the Carolinas, as a part of their natural process, what will happen is there will be a survey, there will be communications that is sent to you asking for you to share an update on the status of the grant. And so that's what that sort of reporting structure will entail. And I see someone. Go ahead.
Sonia Richardson was our next question on the clarification on technology. Just to clarify, the technology will be purchased, but the software is a recurring expense. Sonia, did Almudena answer that question for you?
So just in case, software is an asset, but those ongoing fees, you know, because it's like a membership that you pay monthly, or it's a fee, you know, that you have to pay yearly, right? That has to be expense, and therefore, you know, does not count as a capitalized asset.
So Sonia, I see the follow-up. She's asking Almudena, the technology is the asset. If you are applying for grant funding for the technology, yes. And if you're not requesting the funding for the actual subscription fees, yes.
Exactly. The key is that, you know, software versus subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, our next question comes from Eugene once again. Does taxes or any type of fees or interest have to be paid on the funds granted to your business?
And our response to this one, Eugene, has been that, you know, each business is so unique in what their financing looks like. And so this would be something that we would defer to you to ask a tax consultant about. Anyone who you work with to prepare your taxes would be most appropriate to answer that question for what this may mean for you and your business.
Talia has our next question. If you have one business but want to begin a different one, are you able to do that with funds, or the business that you currently have? Does the business you currently have to be where all the funds are allocated?
Yeah, and I can speak to that unless you'd like to jump in, Almudena.
However you want to do it.
I can start, and anything I miss, please do feel free to fill in. So startups are eligible to apply. You may apply for a new business. What we would then be needed in that case is it could be a business plan, it could be some documentation, some proof to show what the plans are and that a business is actually in motion or coming to be or seeking to come to fruition, and then making the case for the capital asset that would need to be purchased for the business to begin. Anything more you want to do there, Almudena?
And I would add that in that business plan, really what we want to see is a budget, right? At least for 1 year of what is the revenue that you're expecting, and when, where is this revenue coming from, and what are your expenses. So that way, since you don't have activity, we don't have a profit and loss statement to take a look at, that will help us understand, how the business is going to be.
Yeah, thank you. And then Sonia is asking around what type of assistance are the organizations providing with the application process? How can we best utilize them? Think of them as technical assistance support. And so that's going to be where we talk about this sort of documentation, whether that is a profit loss statement or, the business plan or the budget, the additional documentation that you may need. It could also be that you work with a community partner organization to really get a strong understanding of of understanding what capital asset can help you to grow and scale your business. You may think, I think that this is really what I need right now. And they would be there to provide some additional business guidance. As again, I mentioned, they work with small business owners as already outside of this program. And so they are very tuned in to business growth and opportunities. And so that's another way in which you can engage with them. Corey's asking, what does a business plan need to entail for that third chair to show 3-year plan for a business that is already running? And Almudena, I'd love if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I'll take over. So, business owners need to have a strategic business planning, right? To be competitive, to maintain profitability. So what we want to see is that plan where you're going to tell us where you are today, where do you want your company to be in 3 years, and how you're going to get there. So this is going to include not only financials, but also, it could include like marketing plans, a market analysis, strategies. So it's not exclusively finances, right? It's a little bit more. And this is, we're talking about a tier of grants that it's over 100K. So due to the amount, and the importance of it, that's why we need to understand a little bit more, what is your plan and how is that asset, help you get there.
Yes, thank you.
Just in case there's no specific template or format required, we understand that every business is different. And so, this is open to however you want to explain it.
Mm-hmm. Great. We don't see any additional questions, but we can give you guys another minute or two if there's any that comes to your mind before we wrap up. Or maybe not two silent minutes might be awkward, but give you guys a little bit.
And in this time, I'll bring up that if you do have any questions that pop up in your mind after this presentation, I know I'm one of those people that all the questions come to my mind after the time to ask. Definitely feel free to go on our website at beyondopenclt.com. Check out that support page, reach out to our partner organizations. They are ready for questions regarding this program. And if you have any other, more general questions, you can reach out at the info@beyondopenclt.com email. Check out the events. We have other webinars coming up, other in-person events. Feel free to, we encourage you to participate in those as well if you have further questions too. And I see we have another one here, so I'll go ahead and read it off. How is it determined how much of the grant funds you can receive? If you apply for 20K, can you be awarded less?
I want to respond, Almudena, but would you mind responding here just so that I'm sure we're on the same page?
Yes, so I think you've actually mentioned before that, applicants are going to select the tier that they are applying for, right? And, let's say you're asking for 50,000, right? And you think that, okay, if I don't get the full list that I'm asking for, maybe I could get 20,000 and get bumped down to the next category. But this is not how it works. So this is why you have to be very strategic, right, on what you're asking us and how you're describing those assets and how are those assets going to help you achieve your goals. Mm-hmm. So think about it carefully. I would recommend not having a list of 10 items there, unrelated. There could be situations that it could be more than one asset because it's a project and it's interrelated. But if you're not able to build a strong enough case, your application may not make it, right? So that's why it's best to be strategic, because we won't be choosing, or selecting assets from your list.
That's right. And I thank you. And I'll add to that, so you're saying the question was, how is it determined? And it's determined by the ask. So if you happen to be seeking $10,000 for an asset, and you have a strong application, that would be the award. But if you only demonstrate needing $10,000 of funding, but you're asking for $20,000, I'm not here to say yes or no, that's going to be denied, but it doesn't match the ask, right? So the amount is determined upon what you present. You express the need that you have. And if you have any documentation, I believe, let me go here to the documentation chart. Was that back here? No, it's over here. For what is requested, you will see that what I was looking for, Amujena, is the request for like a proposal.
The cost estimates?
Cost estimate.
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
at the very end. At the very end. So while that's not required for the Build for Success, for those who go for the Growing for Prosperity or the Make Bold Moves, you will show a cost estimate for the proposed capital investment. And again, that would help the review team to see what you need. So great questions. Any others? We might be able to get you guys to dinner a little earlier on with your evening. See, something else just came in. Can the funds be allocated for multiple related projects under the same ask, new construction, down payment, IT systems? What I will say to that is that those sound like, what you did say, those are multiple projects. The program is designed to support a capital asset or a project that is like one initiative. And so again, I mentioned that we have round 1, round 2, and round 3. If you find that your most urgent need right now is new construction, that's what I would go for at this round. And then if you're looking to do something with IT repairs or new IT system, I would approach that for round 2 or round 3. All right. So yeah, as Ishmael shared, if you do have any additional questions, general questions, you can reach out to us at info@beyondopenclt.com. More technical support and assistance, that's where we encourage you to go to the community partner organizations, which are Aspire Community Capital, Prospera, or the Women's Business Center of Charlotte. And again, you can find their information on the website under the support page. So we hope tonight was helpful. We hope that you got all the information that you need. Again, we encourage you, if you are eligible and interested, to apply sooner than later. Tell all the other small business owners who may be eligible. And we wish you guys much success. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Zania. Thank you. I'm going to thank you, everybody.